Hey, it's Joe Amoia, founder and creator of GPSforlove.com. And I wanted to create a video today that was going to blow your mind because it's going to blow this misperception, this myth that you all have completely out of the water. So what is this misconception? What is this myth? Well, it's this thing called chemistry. It's thing called the spark. And I hear it all the time. Yesterday, I was actually doing a consultation with someone, and they were talking about how they needed to have this spark and they needed to have this infatuation, this chemistry. And what we ultimately discovered is it wasn't the spark. What was really missing is something called excitement. See, what you have to understand is human beings are very specific and very predictable creatures. And no matter how much we think we're unique and we're different, we're all very much alike. And one of the things about us humans is that we are driven by certain needs. And one of the needs that we have is the need for something called variety, which is excitement. So think about it. If life was the same all the time and we experienced the same thing over and over again, it would be pretty boring. It would be pretty mundane. And this is very often what happens in relationships. There's excitement in the beginning. Okay, it's not the spark, there's excitement. And there's a rush and everything is great. And then what happens is we settle into these little patterns. And if you don't learn how to keep that excitement flowing, you don't learn to keep the excitement train going, ultimately what happens is monotony sets in, boredom sets in. So instead of saying, you know what, I'm not getting my need for certainty, I'm not getting any excitement out of this relationship, we blame the other person and make them wrong. Or very often in the beginning stages of a relationship, you meet a nice guy, and because there's no excitement, you brush him off. Instead of seeing, well, maybe there's something that you can do to create some excitement on your own in the context of a relationship. Because let's be honest, how many of those of exciting guys, those bad boys, where there's a rush of excitement, where there's amazing chemistry in the beginning, turn out to be douchebags who break your heart and who jerk you around? I'm sorry to be truthful. Let's call a spade a spade. So what you've got to realize is that, you can create excitement on your own in a relationship. And just to give you an example, I had one of my clients probably about last year who was in this situation where she got into monotony. There was boredom and they got into a routine and it almost ruined their relationship. And so what she learned to do is she learned to take the lead and say, hey, you know what, let's go do something fun. And what she did is she would come up with three different options, three different choices for her guy. And she would let him take the lead, because part of being in a relationship is allowing the man to take the lead. Because if you're the one creating the excitement all the time, you're the one leading things, you're also going to start resenting that guy because you're going to be taking the role of the masculine on in that relationship. And it's not a healthy place for a woman to be in a relationship. So you have to realize there are certain roles that men and women traditionally play in relationships. So what will help you is to realize that as you go forward, it's not the spark, it's not the chemistry. Yes, you've got to be attracted to guys. We've talked about that all the time. And I'm not saying to date a troll by any means, not to go out with a guy who you feel is ugly and that you couldn't even imagine being with, because there has to be some level of attraction. And I'll give you for instance, when I met my wife, I was attracted to her. She was a nice girl. She was attractive. She wasn't my typical type, but the more we dated, the more we got to know each other, the more we were intimate, the more that spark grew and turned ultimately into a flame, because that's what you're ultimately looking for. You're not looking for the spark. You're looking for the flame that's going to sustain you and give you the ultimate relationship that you desire and that you know you deserve. So I know I threw a lot at you today, but this is one of those big ones. You might want to go back and watch this over and over again, because if you're used to pursuing certain guys or running away from certain guys because that there's a spark, there isn't a spark, or you're in a relationship where you kind of peter out or you check out too soon once you set into that monotony stage, just realize that you may be able to do things to create that excitement, to get that spark back. Because when you live and you operate from that place, this whole thing becomes much easier and much more enjoyable. As always, it's honor and privilege to be with you, and I'd love to hear from you. Does this strike a bell with you? Does this strike a nerve? Does this ring a bell or strike a nerve? I'm sorry, my mind is just going a mile an hour today because I'm so excited about this. And I want you to, to let me know, how important is it to you? Is that spark essential? Because see, we're all different. We're all wired. We all have different needs, that resonate with us more than others. Like for me, I have a need that I can create the excitement on my own, but I want to be with someone who I know is going to be there for me, that's going to be dependable, and doesn't give me any games, drama, or excitement in that way, if you know what I mean. So it's a matter of learning how to get our needs met in healthy ways. So I want to know, how important is that spark to you? Is it like at the top, or is it at the bottom where it's, yeah, it's cool, but you can kind of take care of that on your own? Because once you get clear on who you are and how you're wired, it's easier to find the guy and the relationship you're ultimately looking for. As always, again, it's an honor and privilege. We'll see you next time. Much love.